we can just start it off talking about the main event.
Yep.
And then we talk about whatever was interesting after that.
Okay.
So right from the get-go, the main event. I predicted the fight wrong. I had actually picked Dustin to win this fight.
Me too. No, actually,
Don't tell me you picked Dustin.
I didn't pick.
Okay.
I didn't pick Khabib. I picked.
What?
I'm sorry. I picked Khabib, but I was rooting for Dustin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in a way, I lost either way because I
Right.
wanted Dustin to win. But
yeah,
You guys have a lot of faith in Dustin.
yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. So
he's just a likable guy.
he is, but I mean, you can't let that influence you too much. When
No,
you're,
for
when,
sure.
When you're picking, right? So here's the thing with Dustin, and I agree with you. A lot of people agree with you that I might have too much faith in Dustin. I mean, I don't think so. But here's the thing about Dustin for me, right? Because like, I picked him beating Max Holloway, and when I picked him to beat Max Holloway, I got the same thing, right? Everyone telling me I'm crazy, he's overrated, all this and that, right? For me, there's a big turning point in Dustin's career when he fought Justin Gaethje. If you go back and watch that fight, Justin Gaethje was damaging Dustin. Mm-hmm. He was putting it on him. He was putting the pace on him. His leg kicks were tearing up those legs. I mean, it's round 2 and 3, and you can already see the hematomas and like the blood inside of Dustin's leg, right? And Dustin was getting a little tired. It didn't look good, but watching Dustin really have to dig deep, stay in the fight, and put it on Justin Gaethje to win that fight, right? To me, showed me that you're dealing with a guy who is used to being in bad positions in a fight and can really dig deep and give it everything that he's got, right? Some guys aren't really doing that well when it's their turn to be the nail, right? They do great when it's their turn to be the hammer, but not when it's to be the nail. And watching Dustin fight Eddie and Justin, that's what I was getting, right? So he beats Max Holloway. He proves to the world that he really is good, right? When was the last time anybody saw Max Holloway in that much danger? He arguably hurt him more than when he fought Conor all those years ago, right? So here's the problem. I picked Dustin to win, right? And he obviously got mauled just like everybody else. The problem is I actually kind of got it right because Dustin landed the shot that I thought was going to win the fight. It played out the way I thought it was going to play out. I thought Khabib was going to be able to play his game, but when they were standing on the feet, Dustin was going to be able to catch him, and Khabib hasn't fought anybody with that kind of power, right? So he landed the shot that I thought he was going to land. It just didn't end the fight. That's what I got wrong. And it maybe goes to show that people underestimate Khabib's chin. You know, we talk about his wrestling and his cardio all the time and that his striking is improving, but he's obviously got a chin.
Okay. So what was your takeaways from the fight?
I mean, every time that we see Khabib, we see him fight like a more difficult opponent, right? And have to show more areas of his game. So Khabib has been scary for years. And after this last fight, he's continuing a trend where he just looks even scarier.
Right.
Because,
dominating.
Exactly.
He looks very dominant.
Because he got hit with what I thought he was going to get hit with, right? And it didn't end the fight. So that just add that to Khabib's tool belt.
Right.
He can grapple. He has great cardio. His striking is improving. And now we know he can take a hit too.
Yeah.
He definitely didn't crack under pressure.
No, he did not.
He did not freak out whatsoever.
No.
I think my biggest takeaway is how dominant, obviously, Khabib is.
Yeah.
Poirier, at one point during the fight, I thought had a chance to really win the fight when he pulled off that guillotine. And it looked like it was really tight.
Yep.
But Khabib was able to slip out of it. I was telling you in the car, like, I was rooting for Poirier, but if someone held a gun against my head and told me to pick one fighter, I'm going to pick Khabib.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on a different level.
It's
the
scary.
guy puts pressure on UFC fighters that they haven't seen before. And, you know, like, if you watch him take people to the ground, he does this move where he'll put your legs between his legs and then squeeze them together where you can't move.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know about you guys, but that's, like, such a uncomfortable position, knowing that there's nothing you can do to get out of that spot. Yeah. Like, you're hopeless.
And then at that point, the only thing you have to defend yourself with are your hands.
Right.
And he'll grab one of those wrists and tie it behind your back. And at that point...
Exactly.
Khabib was controlling this fight throughout the entire fight. I think the only time where Poirier had the chance was when he landed that shot.
Yep.
I can't tell if it was an uppercut or a hook, but either way, he threw a shot, and Khabib looked like it hurt him. I don't think it really did. Yeah. But I was screaming at the TV because me and you were watching it. Pressure. Yeah. And he was trying to pressure, but Khabib was backing up. He's too good. And he probably wasted too much energy doing that.
He did.
And he got tired. 100%. And then immediately after that encounter, Khabib took him straight to the ground.
Yep.
So you guys are talking about, like, at least you were talking about how he got rocked really hard and he stayed calm.
Yep.
And he handled that fight very well.
Yep.
Right.
But he also survived that guillotine.
He did.
How crazy is that to you guys, though? To be in a guillotine for that long and kind of just tough it out till he.
Well, honestly, I'm thinking, like, can you remember another instance where he was in that position?
I don't think of it
because I can't. I think that might have been his first time where he was almost being put away off a choke.
And he even admitted afterwards that he was pretty close to getting it.
You know.
So it just shows a couple things, though. It also, speaking of other things that people don't give Khabib enough credit for, is his fight IQ. Because
he's very smart.
Because here's two mistakes that Dustin made, and it seemed like Khabib almost knew that these mistakes were going to happen. The first one was after Dustin landed that shot, right? You're that close to putting a guy like Khabib away. Yeah. You have to pressure him, right?
You have to pressure him.
So he lands the shot. Khabib immediately starts backing up. Immediately, right? Dustin sees what's happening. He starts pushing. He starts laying it on him, right? The problem is that he didn't hurt Khabib as badly as he thought he did. Mm-hmm. So when he starts pressuring, he started throwing leather, man. He was... I remember there's a punch in particular. It was like an overhand that he threw. He put everything into that shot and missed, and he did it more than once where he was throwing and missing, right?
Right.
So it just shows that, like, he thought he had him hurt, but he didn't have him that hurt because Khabib was still able to move out of the way. Right. So that's number one, right? That was a big deal because you saw Dustin's gas tank deplete significantly.
Yeah, and then Dustin didn't land a whole lot of shots.
No, he didn't. Right? So that's number one. That's the first mistake, is that Dustin started trying to pressure him and it just wasn't the time to do it. Khabib was fresher than Dustin thought, right? So Khabib, I'm sure, was probably like, I'm going to play coy here and let him swing himself out. So that's one mistake that he made. The second mistake was, I don't know if necessarily this is a mistake, but holding that guillotine. As soon as that guillotine was out, for how long he was holding it, Khabib knew he's done. Like, his arms are done. Right. And you could see it, man. Like, immediately as soon as that guillotine slips out, in less than 5 seconds, Khabib throws his leg over and gets on his back, right? And something that I thought was really interesting was immediately as soon as Khabib takes his back, he starts attacking with chokes, and both of Dustin's arms are still on the ground. Right. He's not defending with his hands.
Just like great.
That's the biggest mistake fighters make, is they give up their back to Khabib. And I've seen it with Conor and I've seen it with Dustin. Way too. You cannot do that. You cannot give up your back to that guy.
The other frightening thing to me is that, like, going into this fight, and for good reason, Dustin was as confident as he could possibly be, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, just look at who he beat. Beat Eddie Alvarez, beat Justin Gaethje, beat Max Holloway, right? This dude trained hard for this fight.
For sure.
The only person that's ever fought that many fights before getting a title shot is Michael Bisping. That guy had to work really, really hard to get his title shot, right? It's a big moment. He trained his ass off. Yeah. What was frightening to me is that in round 1, Dustin had the same look that everybody else has when Khabib is mauling him. That, what the fuck do I do here look? Mm-hmm. The looking at your corner like, what do I do? We saw that look on Dustin's face in round 1. I was like, that's not good. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, he did not respond to that pressure well. Mm-mm. And I feel sorry for him.
I do.
Because like after the fight, he almost teared up. Yeah. He basically teared up. Right. So I felt bad for him.